So I'm talking today about the Timaru Farmers Market, which is a project that we started with Transition Timaru. So Transition Timaru is pretty new. We only started 18 months ago in May 2009. There was a small group of people meeting locally in Timaru talking about environmental issues, and I went along and talked about Transition Town, which I'd heard about from back in my home country, the UK. We agreed to start Transition Timaru, and fairly early on we realised, just as James Samuel had said earlier, that food was a real key issue and a real way of getting people involved, and we held a World Cafe type event around food, and we got people to talk about what issues they thought were important, and it became very clear that in Timaru we had a really very unresilient food situation. We'd really lost all of our small local stores, we had no greengrocers or fishmongers or butchers left, and we just had the two big supermarket chains. We had a lot of farms, which were mostly industrial dairy farms around the town. We did have a few growers of local food who were selling at the farm gate, but that was really it. So we decided that the real key thing for us to do very early was to form a farmers market group who would push ahead and get a farmers market going to really try and get an outlet for local food and to try and encourage more local growers. So we formed from that meeting a group of 8 people who started to get together and started to think about how they could form a farmers market. And they talked to lots of people around in different places, and who'd said, oh yes, we took 2 or 3 years to get a market going, and other places where they said, well, we maybe just about got it going in 18 months, but we thought, well, we really need to do this very quickly because it's a key issue. So the group worked incredibly hard, and in 3 months they got together a market, and we had a sort of grand opening of our farmers market down in Caroline Bay with my family there, and Kate Elston, who's another one of our steering group, and Wyn Raymond, who is the previous mayor of Timaru. So only 3 months after we'd started. We decided right from the start that we wanted our market to be every week. Lots of farmers markets around the country are on the 3rd Sunday of the month when there's an hour in the month, and maybe not in the winter, but we felt that we really needed this market to provide a place where people would go every week and get their shopping instead of going to the supermarket. So it had to be every week, and we decided quite bravely that we were going to go all year, and we made that commitment very early on. We had a lot of argument with some of our stallholders about this, but we have managed to survive through our first winter. We had one very lonely market where there was widespread flooding. A lot of the stallholders couldn't actually get to Timaru through floods, and there were 4 very sad-looking stalls in the pouring rain with the actual place flooded out. But we ran every week, except 1 week when there was a tsunami warning, and our market's down in the bay, down by the beach, which is a great location, but we were had to be evacuated at fairly short notice with a tsunami warning, so we did miss 1 week, but apart from that we have gone every week since we started. We're down in Caroline Bay, which is a great location down by the beach. There's sort of children's play areas, and there's a bandstand where we get music playing, so it works really well. We've been very strict that all of our produce has to be local, so we have a 100-kilometre radius, so all of the stalls have to source their produce within 100 kilometres of Timaru. And the people selling at the market have to be the producers or growers of that food. So we've had a number of stalls, and the stalls pay a small fee weekly, which pays for the running costs of the market. And after a while, so we've been going about 6 months, when it became clear that the group of volunteers who were running the market were really swamped with the sort of day-to-day working, which was a great problem because it meant we were being very successful. So we have subsequently now employed a part-time market manager who works for us and does a lot of the day-to-day running and liaising with stallholders, and that's been a great success. And we decided very early on to set this up a community store, which is really the central hub of the market. This is manned by volunteers who mostly come from one of the local Lions clubs. And the idea is that people who've got surplus home produce, or quite often what's been happening is children have been doing their sort of pocket money jobs, growing things. I've got 5 minutes, it's good. And they can put things on the community store that's then sold by the volunteers. And 25% of what it sells for is kept back for community projects, and the remaining 75% goes to the people who put the excess produce on. And that's been really well used, and it's been a real way of encouraging people to grow extra things in their home gardens and to bring that down to the community store, who might not otherwise have enough to have a stall, but it works really well. In association with that, we have an information section to that, where we put in a lot of information about events that are going on, about the market and so on. And we've recently set up a jar bank where we encourage people to bring jam jars and bottles down. They leave those at the community store, then those are then available for free to anybody who makes jams and preserves or brews, so they can use those, and we reuse the bottles as bottles rather than smashing them up for recycling. And a lot of the stall holders who make jams are starting to get their glass bottles from there, so that's working well. We do hold a number of events along with the market. We have music, and we try and get buskers pretty much every week. We've been doing some festivals in conjunction with a number of sort of events. We did a youth music festival. We did a food competition with the local Polytechnics catering department. We gave them all a mystery box of ingredients from the market, and the students had to make a recipe, and there was a competition for that, which got us quite a bit of publicity in the paper, and then the winning recipe was demonstrated down at the market, and that was really good, and we're going to do that again. And we've had demonstrations of cider pressing and various other things down at the market. We, every week we have a Transition Timaru stall to a certain extent at the market. We have a display of sort of news and items and things that have been going on recently. And we often have someone there manning that stall, talking to people and raising awareness around Transition Timaru and recruiting new people. And it's largely through this that we've got our membership up to over 550 people within only a year of starting. We also have other information stalls for other community organisations, and we've done quite a lot of involvement with the local media. So we have had quite a lot of achievements in just over a year of running the market. So we've been there every week except the 1 week with the tsunami. We've had up to 25 stalls a week, and overall, including people selling on the community store, we've had a total of 90 people running stalls. And we have had a number of start-up businesses, sort of small businesses, locally starting to grow things for the market. And there's a couple who've set up a market gardening business, and they've just very recently built some very large tunnel houses so that next year they can grow more vegetables through the winter to keep the vegetable supply going in the winter. And they may also be looking at perhaps a box scheme along with the market. We have had up to about 2,500 people coming down on a weekly basis. And the amazing thing is that the market very quickly became a social hub. So it's very different to going shopping at the supermarket. And you find when you go to the market, you can't really nip there and just do shopping very quickly and nip home again. You find you end up being there most of the morning, talking to people and chatting and having a coffee and something to eat, which is great. So there's been a number of side projects, and the jar bank is one example of that. We've also had a harvest group who've been harvesting fruit from neglected trees and selling that down at the market. We've done a lot of awareness raising projects along with the market, and through doing this we have got some support from the council. They gave us an initial grant, and we've also been giving us support for some of the projects. And we entered ourselves in the local Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Awards. Interestingly, we were up against the local New World Supermarket. So it was a bit of a showdown. Unfortunately, New World Supermarket won, but we were the runner-ups. Maybe next year it'll be different. So with some future plans, we're recruiting more stalls. So some of the stall holders are expanding their existing production. We're adding in primary craft stalls, and we had a lot of debate about this, whether we were losing our focus, but we decided that we'd take stalls for people who are producing other things locally. So we've got someone who's making beeswax candles, and we're looking for other sort of farm-based crafts. So, and that fits in with this sort of idea of trying to support other things being manufactured locally. We're planning more and more events, and there's a possibility we may get a farmers market box scheme up and running, hopefully in the not too distant future. So in summary, the farmers market's been a really good first project, and I'd recommend it to any transition town group. It's a good way of making a big win very early. It has become a community focus. The community store has been a great success, and I definitely recommend that. There are lots of potential for side projects and other ways that you can use the market as a centre. And it is a way to start to engage with the business community in a way that might be difficult in other aspects. Thank you.